I spent years wondering why making friends in a new country is so hard, until I realized the problem wasn't the difference in my accent, the culture that I grew up in, or even the people in the society. The problem starts within myself, and I have total control over it. And once I started to realize that, everything started to change. If you're an immigrant feeling lonely, invisible, disconnected from the world, you're not the only one. And the general advice I've heard is just go out and make more friends. Well, it's not even easy for a native speaker to go out and make friends right now because everything is online. Plus, because you're an immigrant, you find it difficult to understand what other people are talking about, or worried about other people don't understand what you are talking about, which makes things just harder. It's not an easy task. It's exhausting. I've been trying to make friends here since I was 18 when I first moved here. And honestly, I struggled for years. But in the past few years, with a degree in mental health counseling and just learning a lot and being in therapy for a long time, something finally shifted. And today, I'm sharing this lesson that will save me so much self-blame and shame. And I hope you can learn a thing or two. Let's start with the first one. Key point number 1. You must show up, even when it's hard. For a long time, I felt unseen, and I felt it's other people's fault, that they didn't engage me enough, that they didn't ask me enough questions. That's why I feel always excluded. Until I realized that the problem is not them, the problem is really me. If I'm not showing up, how do I expect other people to see me? Whenever there's an exciting event, the way I saw it is it's nerve-wracking. I would hide in my dorm or apartment and I would not go out. And occasionally, if I really have to or really want to do something, I would go out and just be invincible. Inside my heart, I want to be seen desperately. I want to talk to people. But I was just so scared, so I would stay in the corner. I would not talk to anyone. Or there's even one time in the Halloween party, I got so freaked out that I drove the car alone to the apartment, left my husband in the party alone. And every time I escaped something that scared me, I would feel a good sense of release. Temporarily, but over the long run, it actually made my world smaller and my anxiety bigger. In psychological term, we call it the avoidance cycle. So the cycle goes like this. You encounter something that's stressful, that's unfamiliar, so you feel anxious about it. And no one likes to feel the anxiety and stress, so we want to minimize it by using a coping mechanism. In this case, it's an avoidant coping mechanism, meaning we're going to either procrastinate or we're just going to run away from it, not going. And then we experience temporary release from this avoidance coping mechanism. In the long run, because we figure out, okay, this coping mechanism actually works, so we're going to use more of it in different situations. So it might start like, I just avoid going to a social networking event because I cannot imagine that's like so stressful for me. And then I realize, okay, the avoiding works. So next time I'm going to use it to go to a grocery store. Maybe I'm just going to go in and out, use a self-checkout without talking to anyone. So the cycle goes on and on. So you can see it becomes easier for us to just use the avoidance coping mechanism instead of to confront what we are scared of. If you recognize that pattern in you, you're not weak. You're not being a coward. It's perfectly human. And revolutionarily speaking, that's actually adaptive. That's how human species evolved to nowadays. So think about our ancestors. When they are in the woods, in the wild, there are a lot of dangerous big predators. If they don't avoid it, the chance of them survived is very slim. So they learn instinctively they need to protect their survival. And what they do is to avoid situations like that. And nowadays, we don't live in the woods anymore. Most of us live in the modern city. However, our brain is not adjusted to this yet. Our brain is still linked this kind of social situation to something that's so threatening that we might lose our life. That's why your anxiety signal is so big. It's because partly you're wired to feel that way. However, what was adaptive in the past for our ancestor is not adaptive anymore for us nowadays. So we need to understand that a tiger we imagine in our mind is actually made of a piece of paper. It's just your mind telling you it's dangerous, it's scary. It's not that scary as you think it is. So what you need to do is to staring at your fear and just show up. Showing up doesn't mean you need to be the center of attention, doesn't mean you need to be loud, you need to crack jokes, you need to speak fluently with everyone. Showing up just means you need to first be there. You need to give yourself a chance to expose to uncomfortable situation. You can start by just silently standing in a corner. That's fine. And every time you move a little bit closer to the center, to where there are more people. And maybe over the time you start to talk to people in small talk, talking about the weather, what do you do? And slowly you're going to build up that muscle and the conversation becomes natural and easier. And it's perfectly okay to show up quietly, awkwardly, and perfectly. That is the first step. Okay, so you push yourself out of your comfort zone, you showed up. Good job. Now what do we do? That leads us to our key point number 2. Use your interest and knowledge to show up as a host instead of a guest. There's a Chinese saying. It says if you know math, physics, and chemistry, no matter where you travel around the world, you won't be scared of anything. You'll be okay. Well, I don't know about the math, physics, and chemistry part, but I think the second part of that sentence really holds true. When you have something you're passionate about, you're knowledgeable about, you bring a confidence with you. And that confidence is really, really important when you're an immigrant in the room. When you're an immigrant living in, we call a host country, you feel like you're a guest. Think about it. Every time as a guest, you go visit someone's house, you're always worried about touching things that you can't touch, not be able to find a bathroom, worried about offending the host. And that's exactly how we feel as an immigrant. But when you show up with knowledge, with hobby, with something that you are very familiar with, you naturally transition from the guest to the host. You feel more confident. A hobby makes a conversation easier. It makes it easier for you to go out and reach out to other people, and similarly, it makes other people come to you. It creates a common ground for all of you, and it bridges the gaps of language, culture, and then everything. For me, my hobby has been martial arts. I practice jiu-jitsu, and that's how I found my community. There's also science behind why it's easier for people to have similar hobby to like each other. Social psychology has a lot of study that shows people are drawn to those who are similar to them. So if I enjoy doing jiu-jitsu and you enjoy doing jiu-jitsu too, you're naturally gonna like me, even if you don't know me. So just pick something. Anything. It can be a hobby that you already have. It can be running, it can be knitting, yoga, it can be anything. And join a local group on Facebook or a meetup group and just find people who share similar interests. You're not going to make a friend right away in the first meetup group. But if you show up repeatedly to the same group, it builds familiarity, and the familiarity builds connection. And once you step out there, if you're worried about having nothing to say, start with some genuine question about local recommendation. People enjoy being needed and feeling helpful. So when you ask them, what local restaurant do you recommend? Parking is so expensive in downtown. Is there an affordable parking space that you recommend? What's the hiking trail that you go for around the lot? These simple questions really help people to connect together. Don't worry about bothering people with these questions. Everyone enjoy answering these questions, just thinking about it. If someone asks you about where you grew up and your recommendation from your hometown, your favorite coffee shop and restaurant, you're gonna be happy to talk about it too. It's really a win-win situation where you learn more about the local and the locals feel happy to share it with you. Okay, if you truly don't have a hobby yet, and the idea of going out to meet people is just too scary, you're too introverted, too shy, and I have a recommendation for you too. If you're too anxious to try something new, get an extroverted dog. And by the way, if you go to a local shelter, the dogs are mostly free. I'm not saying that just because I'm a dog lover, but I truly found that dog brings people to me. For a long time, I didn't know anyone in the neighborhood I live in. But you know, if you have a dog, you have to walk them twice a day. So you start to see people who are regular dog walker around. And first you don't know each other, then you start to smile at each other, then you start to say hello to each other, and eventually I even made friends with one or two of them because we have a similarly big dog with similar problems. And even if you don't live in a neighborhood where there are a lot of people around, the dog can still be a very important connector. So this concept of connector is introduced by Malcolm Gladwell in his book, The Tipping Point. Malcolm Gladwell described there's one type of person where they really enjoy connecting other people. They bring strangers into your world. I think you definitely have this friend where they invite you to their dinner party and they will connect you with some people that you never know before. And these are the connector in human social environment. But there is also an animal connector, which are dogs. 2 weeks ago, I went to a farmer's market nearby and I brought my dog with me. The entire time, I didn't know anyone in the farmer's market. However, there are a total of 5 people who stopped by, told me how cute my dog is. Some of them wanted to pet the dog, Some of them tell me that they also have a pit bull at home. And honestly, I didn't do anything. And if they're a stranger willing to walk to you and talk to you and say good things about your dog, that's just a wonderful thing, because it's always scary to be the one that initiate a conversation. And with a dog, you don't have to initiate anything. Someone's gonna walk to you and initiate it. And all you need to do is then tell them, oh yeah, she's a girl, I adopted her at what time, she's really mischievous. That just becomes a natural conversation starter. And if you repeatedly do it, you'll feel it's just more natural to have small talk with people, even without your dog. Your dog melts the social ice you're too anxious to break yourself. It's one of the most unexpected yet powerful things that I found to make me feel less lonely and more willing to engage in conversation. Loneliness isn't a personal failure. It's a common human experience, and it's especially true for immigrants. And while it's nice for other people to walk to us and initiate a conversation, it's also our responsibility to show up. You don't have control over whether the stranger is going to come to you and talk to you in a kind way, but you do have control over whether you're going to walk to that stranger and start a friendly conversation. So to summarize, connection starts when you start to show up, use your interests to get your confidence back, and become the host in this little circle. If you're really scared of starting something, find a connector. Connector can be a dog, can be someone that you know in your social circle that's just outgoing and willing to introduce you to new people. If you want more guidance on how to overcome social anxiety and language anxiety as an immigrant, check out my next video here. And before you go, like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what's one small step you can take this week to feel more connected.